Hi, welcome to Tea Time with Amie and Bev.
Good morning.
Morning. It's
So
taking
how
forever.
are things?
How are things? You're getting it in before I get to say it,
Well,
huh? She's like, "Oh, Bev, I got you. I
that's
got you
right.
first." Well, things are good. I'm still in the process of getting used to being up early, and early to me is 5 a.m. So this is week 2 of that. And yes, I am sleeping quicker and better. So and
That's
deeper.
good.
I think I'm sleeping deeper
Yeah,
too.
that's nice.
Yep, up and at 'em, 5-ish. I'm not gonna say it's at 5, but it's 5-ish.
Yeah. I like to wake up when I wake up.
There you go. I usually
I
do
don't,
that on the weekends.
yeah, no alarms. I don't like any alarms. None of that.
But I have to say I was actually awake at 4 this morning.
Oh, okay.
Um, and I was laying there and I was thinking, man, my alarm should be going off soon. And I looked at the clock and I was like, yeah, no. And I rolled over.
Yeah, nice.
But all in all, everything's going well. Um, I love that. I love knowing that we affect people's lives in ways we may never know.
True.
It's my ego that says I need to know.
Yeah.
So when you find out something that happened 3 years later that you partaked in,
Oh,
what? Right? And how it affected many lives. Wow. Wow.
and a progression, right? So it's not even really, yeah, because it was a progression. Some of these things that happen like that, and you don't even the people don't even recognize
Yeah.
sometimes.
So
So
even just us doing this every week, um, I know people are listening to it and not knowing who they might be sharing the information with, whether they're sending the link to the video or the audio to their friends or family, or if they're just sharing it by in a conversation, that you're affecting lives, good or bad. Let's be real, good or bad, by your words and your actions, that you're affecting lives, and it's a ripple effect. Um, One of the things, I don't remember if we actually talked about this, we might have, when the first part of this year when I was being a caretaker, I was actually coaching. So it was the dad who was ill and went through his transition process, meaning he went back into spirit. I was coaching his daughter, who is in her mid 30s, through that whole process. So from like January, even we just had a conversation the other night. So, um, but what was happening is through our conversations, she was sharing that information with her husband. And with both of them having that information, now that's going to, no doubt she would affect her kids. She has a son and a daughter. That she would affect her kids with the information. And it might just be in the shift in her way of being, or through sharing what she was learning from me. Doesn't matter. Fact is, it was affecting her kids too. And now that both of them, the wife and the husband, both have the information, they're both impacting their kids, and that's going to have a ripple effect. So when she told me that she was sharing the information with her husband, I was just like, wow, you know, because really it's quite common in the circle that we provide of like-mindedness that it's seldom that I hear women are sharing the information with their husbands because their husbands are not in a space to hear it anyway, or they're not interested, or they're just like tuned out. And so all of that, knowing that just from having a conversation with her, it's affecting many. And yes, my ego is like, yay, I got to know who's getting affected and that she's talking about it and all this. But at the same time, I know there's many conversations I've had where I will never know who it's affecting. So yeah, that's a great realization for people to get. Like if you're having those conversations over lunch with a coworker, or you go to, you know, you just say, you know, give a friendly smile to somebody on the road, or, you know, out and about in public. The pay it forward, where they, you know, you're in the drive-through at Starbucks and you pay for the person's beverages behind you. Things like that. Like you don't know these people, but yet you're still having these acts of kindness, and how that can just have a ripple effect just in their day, like a total shift.
And that's the most important.
Yeah, you probably experienced that through having massage, you know, treating a client, having those conversations, and knowing, you know, well, we hope that it's going to continue on. The information that we share is going to continue on and be beneficial for, in good ways. And just, you just don't know. You just don't know. Always, you're not going to know.
You know how you show up. That's all you know.
Right.
You know, it's like you said, where everything's an interaction with somebody else, and whether it's good or not received so well, you know, or you're not maybe on your best, and you're giving out maybe a little bit more energy that you wouldn't normally give out if you're not in a very good space that morning, or angry, or any of those things. So it's like it's amazing how we all show up for each other on a regular basis. And it really depends on how am I showing up, because however I show up that day is how everything's going to show up for me. And then you have a different sort of compassion for individuals that are going through their struggle, or I don't know, I wouldn't say it's their struggle. It's just they're just going through, they're on their journey. It's just a journey. Like all of us is just a journey. Something I've recognized recently, the more that we change, because we do change a lot, people fall out of our lives. And whether it was by your doing or by their choices, there was not a match in the energy anymore. It's interesting that when you've moved on and your story is a different story now, you don't put the same energy into that situation, or you look at it in a different way. But it's also not, I don't welcome that stuff back. If the people have grown, if you know, if everyone's grown into a different vibration, you're going to match up no matter how you try not to. If you're a match with each other, but if you're not a match, it's like it just doesn't happen. And it's interesting how individuals will try to come back into your life, and it's from a standpoint of seeing things from a bigger picture, you start recognizing how they become very resourceful and try to come back into your experience, you know. So it's interesting, and that's we go all the way back to the healthy boundaries. And now I find a lot of, it's just I get to see this stuff. And then it's like some of the behaviors that I've seen, like with other people, it's like I'm reminding myself, I was probably that way at one point. I probably reacted the same way at one point. You know, it's just, our lives are interesting, and everything around us is there for a reason. And it's not for us to, I always say it doesn't help you or help them if you feel sorry for somebody. It doesn't help, because the best thing we can do is send positive vibes, or, you know, send something. I mean, really, it's just being in a space of joy. Because we can't make somebody else see how joyful life can be, because they have to go through their experiences. And I've heard too many times, if we haven't had some of these experiences, we wouldn't enjoy the joy so much.
Yeah, we're not always excited about those certain experiences, but it
We're
sure
not,
helps
but
us.
we're not. But without them, it's like it just helps you recognize life is so much more important. That was one thing that I was talking to someone recently. It was like, well, what do you want to give your energy to? It's like, because if you have a situation in your life that's in turmoil or a bad relationship or anything like that, and you're giving all your energy to that, then that means you're not giving your energy to any space of joy or happiness or what do I want, or you know what I mean? You're just constantly giving it to this other space. You lose sight of the things that are important. You lose sight of what you want because you change your focus, and that's old ways. It doesn't have to be that way. It's just changing your focus to appreciation. And I say that like it sounds like it's so simple. It's a lot easier now, but it didn't start out so simple. And it was few and far between that I had those moments that I felt like I had that control. But it's like I recognize now, it's like I don't want to give that space to it. And for me, one of the things I've been practicing is I just keep seeing my inner child. I keep seeing this picture of myself when I was a little girl, and I was like this bright light. I just see myself as that girl, and it's like I wouldn't let anything happen to her ever. So it's like, let's just go have fun. What do you want to go do? When there's a circumstance or something outside of me, it reminds me, what do you want to go do? What should we go do today? What would be fun? I want to be just like a kid, right? If I'm pissed off, I'm going to be pissed off for about 5 seconds. If I'm going to cry, I'm going to cry for about 5 seconds, and then I'm going to go play. I'm going to go draw. I'm going to go run. I'm going to go chase a butterfly. I don't know, whatever. I want to be more like that on a regular basis. So that's my practice.
There you go. There you have it, folks. Thanks for being with us on Tea Time with me.
Whatever.
Bev's words of wisdom. Thank you for showing up.
But it's not always easy, because I can tell you, even last week that I've gone, I go through these places I don't want to be here. It's such a. And I was having a conversation last night. I'm recognizing maybe it's not so much that I don't want to be here, but we're all going through such rapid changes right now that it's like the death of the old constantly. It's like this constant stuff is going on. Yeah, and I'm recognizing it's not that I want to go off myself. If someone's done it, well, then you were a great lesson for so many other people. You were like, I'm not playing this game anymore. I'm out. However you decide to see your life, that is definitely, I will not condone something like that, but I won't blame anybody. I have an understanding for it.
Yep.
And I've gone through those places. I've had these dreams, and it's like I even had a dream. So after I'm in this space like this, the next morning I'm having a dream that I'm telling Jim, I want to come back. I want to come back. And he's like, no, why? I was so upset when I woke up that morning. I couldn't even believe, why wouldn't I can't, what do you mean I can't come back? Well, because I can't go back. Because he's not here in the physical anymore. My going back is not being in the physical. So it's like I'm supposed to be here right now, but he was like, no. But it's so interesting because it's easy to get caught up in those moments like that. And I could have stayed in that moment, but it's like I didn't. It's not that I didn't allow myself to stay in that moment. There's other things that, immediately, I think one of my oldest daughters sent me a picture of both my grandbabies sitting on the couch watching TV. So I'm like, ah, thank you. Perfect time, like divine timing for you to send that.
Right.
Which I can go all over the place with that. If you feel an urge to send someone a message, say, hey, just thinking about you, freaking do it.
Yep.
Because it might be that one moment, like I was in that space, and that's all we need. That's it. Gives me goosebumps.
Yeah.
But we go through these moments, right? It's all right. It's all right.
I'm going to just hit on that. When you're thinking of someone, reach out to them. Several times in the past year, not several, a couple times over the past year, I was thinking of someone. One time, it was last year, I forget who it was, but I was thinking of them and then found out they transitioned. This year, I was thinking of someone and then saw a post on Facebook that a friend posted that this other person was losing her battle with cancer. and you know, another angel getting ready to go home, however she worded it. And so I did call and reach out, but the message that I left was, you know, it's just interesting that I've been thinking about you, and then I saw this post on Facebook, and I said who it was by, and I said, I understand that this is a time where you want to be with your family, and I want to honor that time. I just want you to know I'm thinking about you, and you know, and that you touched my life. So I did leave a message of letting them know that they were on my heart. And she did, like about a week later after that message, she transitioned. But you're thinking about something or somebody, there's a reason. And it's very common that when I am thinking of someone, I reach out to them, and I don't know what's going on in their life, because it's probably, I haven't talked to them in many months. And so I just call and say, hey, how's it going? I was thinking about you. And they're just always, wow, you always know when to call me. I'm going through blah, 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 or this is happening, or whatever it might be. And so we have a conversation, and then I may not talk to them for months again. But it's knowing, like, you're taking a moment to have a conversation with somebody that is going to affect their life.
If you can't reach them, like you left a message, we send prayers, we send however you want to handle that thing from there. I mean, knowing that what you knew. I mean, for me, she had popped in. I'm aware of what we're talking about here, but she had popped in actually a couple times, and I kept thinking, I'm gonna have her come out, and you know, because I've talked to her, she's a great person.
Yeah.
And have her come out to the house and stuff, and make sure that I've got things going where they need to be. And it's like, since she has transitioned, she is like, I'll be sitting there and I'll be staring over at my books, because I've got 3 or 4 books on feng shui and some other stuff, and I'll be sitting there staring at it. And it's like, she is like, right. I mean, like, I see her face like pop right in, and it's like, and then we'll talk about it. I'm like, man, because I really wanted her to come out. And he's like, well, she's always, now you got full access to her at all times. And it's true, because and so if we listen to this internal guidance, or this co-creative, these processes we have, this connection that we have with everything, because there's no separation. I have been guided to shift a few things around the house, or I've bought more plants, you know, live plants, or there's just been certain things that it's like, I feel it's interesting, because I'll feel her, like I'll see her, and then I just feel like such a great, I don't even really know, it's an elevated vibration for sure. And it's kind of like joy, but it's just like an appreciation, or some other stuff too. But it's like, it feels so good. It's like, you know, this feels right. These moments are what tell you that this is the right direction. And these other moments when it doesn't feel good, this is probably not the direction I want to go in. It's like there's such people that come into our lives, because she is one of those persons that come into our lives, and it's like, there's such a light here, but man, there's such a freaking light on the other side too. I say the other side because that's what people are familiar with, but once they're born back in the spirits, they're this huge light for all of us still, like, but even more intense if you want to listen.
Right. Yeah, and we have more access to her now.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Because in physical, right, we have to call them.
At night.
Yeah, we have to call, and we have a scheduled appointment, and now you're just like, okay, calling on so and so, and I need some guidance here with some arranging of a room, right?
Yeah.
Like full access, bam, done. Just have to ask.
Just have to ask.
Just have to ask.
That was the hardest for me in the beginning.
Why?
Learning how to ask. Learning how to ask questions for anything. How do I get beyond this point? What does happy look like for me? How can I be happy? Like all these everything in the very beginning for me was like, I was so stubborn that I didn't even ask freaking questions. I got this. I can do it myself. Because I was so used to being the person to do it myself, which we've had conversations like this.
Oh, there you go. That was a confirmation right there. Let me
They're
just
like,
turn
yeah,
that
you got the message.
down. And she's like, yeah, you are stubborn. Dang, your angels just confirmed that for you, sister.
That's right. Well, yes, I have been. They know, and I know. Yeah.
Oh,
But
for
since
sure.
then, yeah, but since then, it's like you start asking questions and the questions start getting bigger. They start getting deeper. It's not surfacey stuff like, is this relationship going to work out?
Yeah, don't.
Well, you're probably not going to have the same relationship with everything the way you think that you do when you're back in the spirit that you think that you have, relationships that you have here, because we're all connected. We all love because we're all love.
Right, right. Yeah, I'm like, gosh, we could go so many different directions with this whole conversation.
I know, I know, I know. And we'll choose them all. Thank you. We'll take them all.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally relate to the stubborn. I got that from my mom. My mom's a Taurus, and so they are stubborn. So yeah, totally learned that from her. Um, and not asking for help. So here's a piece of where I'm at in my life right now is I'm in a mastermind group. And in this mastermind group is for business and asking questions. Like, this is where I'm at with my business. What are the questions I have? And because I lived my life for so long not asking the questions, it's like I don't know the questions to ask. So I sit and I listen. I'm like, oh, that was a good question. Yeah, I didn't even think about that, right? And so I'm writing things down. And so I'm actually in the process, like I can sit with a client and I can ask them questions all day long to get to what's going on with them. Okay, because I've done my healing process through this. Well, now I'm building a business, and to ask the questions needed to ask to move my business forward, I'm like, I don't know what to ask. I'm not sure. I don't know, right? So it's learning from the seasoned entrepreneurs, meaning they've been in business for a while, so they know the questions to ask. And so I'm still in that space where the introverted piece of me just sits back and listens. And I'm where I'm stepping outside of my comfort zone with that is it doesn't matter how simple the question is, and I may think I already know the answer, I'm going to ask it anyway, because if I'm asking the question, then there is somebody else thinking it also. And they're seeking the answer, but they don't, they may think it's not a relevant question to ask, type of thing. So it's, and having an introverted background, it's very easy to slip back into that. So easy. Just, I don't want to be seen. I don't want to be heard. I'm here. I showed up. I'm taking my notes. I'm listening. I'm implementing, but I'm not the one asking the questions. So it's important to ask. So whether it's somebody else in physical form or asking your spiritual team, I call it universal team, whether you're asking help there, it's just like form a prayer. The ask. I ask my universal team all the time for help. Please, I just want ease and flow through this, whether it's traffic or whether it's a project. Ease and flow. Clear traffic, I get to my destination, bam, easy peasy. Same thing. I'm guided with the information and knowledge I need to get this project done. It's easy, bam, done, right? It's like the same, just two different topics. And so if you're struggling with walking, but you don't have a disability sticker or placard or whatever to put in your vehicle, all right, angels, give me a really good close parking lot, please, or parking spot, please, and just see what happens. And it's okay to ask for that stuff.
Yeah. That was a fun thing that The Secret would, early on, The Secret was like, they would say I always would envision a parking spot up close to the store or whatever, and it's like it always came through, and it's like, and it's not doing it as you're going through the parking lot. A lot of times before I even get to the gas station, because I still do this all the time, because sometimes these days, well, actually for a while now, it's you pull up and it's like you might have to wait a minute or something. So now I'm like, nope, as soon as I pull into that gas station, I'm going to pull right into a spot. It's going to be so easy. I'm going to be able to get my gas and get out of there. And every single time it happens that way.
Yeah.
Until sometimes, you know, I get my head like, oh gosh, you know, I'm not, maybe not in a good mood or a good space that day. I'm crappy or whatever. And it's like, it shows. It shows on that
Yeah.
space I get at the gas station or
Right.
don't. Yeah.
Yeah, there's several times I have to remind myself, just breathe and relax. It's okay. Breathe and relax. It's okay. Because you get into that anxious energy and then just everything goes to shit.
And then you can't hear
You
anything.
get delayed.
Yeah, you can, then you can't hear anything. That's the same thing. That's one thing I've noticed. Like, so I like to use a pendulum and I like to use my cards, oracle cards, tarot cards, whatever, because it's just another medium. It's a medium outside of ourselves that we can visually see. I think we get used to that, but we don't have to use any of this stuff. We have all the information within inside of us. But I can tell you my pendulum lets me know when I'm not in a neutral space.
Yep.
I mean, then you start getting, then you're like asking questions and nothing is coming out clear. But other times it's like, man, this works so good. And another time, you know, it works so good because I was in a neutral space. I wasn't not trying to control the answer. I wasn't having an expectation of the answer. So it's an interesting thing. So for me, it's really more of a barometer, or just a tool to let me know where am I at right now. When I'm trying to ask these questions, where am I at with these questions? Am I trying to control an outcome? And do I already have an anxiety or a feeling like this is it? Because to me, I feel like, and I don't know how it is for you, but for me, intuition is a gentle thing. It's not, it doesn't like creep up and it's like, you're gonna die. It's not like anything, it's not like anything crazy like that. It's more subtle. It's a neutral, it's a good flowing of information. It doesn't feel scary or evil or bad, or it doesn't ever say anything in a horrible ways. I mean, it'd be simple. I mean, if Satan, we'll just use Satan. If Satan was down the right path and I could go right or left, and I decided, oh, you should just go ahead and choose the left path. Okay, well then I don't know whatever bad stuff I missed out the other side because it doesn't freaking matter. My intuition gently said, hey, go this way. Instead of going the opposite direction. It's not a fear-based thing. It's not something that's scary or it's just not, or controlling, or I don't know. There's just so many different ways. It's just a subtle, nice, neutral voice that, you know, or it could be your own voice, or it could be just the urge that you need to go that direction, or an urge that, oh, I should go buy a lottery ticket right now.
And your intuition is, like you said, it's subtle, it's calm, I feel like it's more suggestive, like you have a choice.
Well, because it is.
How about,
oh yeah, because we can not.
How about you turn right today? Turn
Yeah.
right. You're right. It's like nudging you, but not in a demanding way. So intuition is that soft. There's a softness to it, and a direction and the guidance. A guidance, I feel, is more of the term. Whereas, just like you said, it's like the picture, right? You have an angel and the devil on each shoulder.
Yeah.
The angel, call that your intuition. Your intuition is guiding you in a loving, kind, compassionate way. The other side, I would call that the ego side, which is fear-based, which is demanding and very negative. And that's usually where our nasty self-talk comes from.
Very habitual.
Yeah, where, you know, your intuition, your spiritual side, spirit is saying, you're beautiful just as you are, and embrace that. And the other side saying, you're a fat cow. Why are you eating another cookie or whatever, right? How come you're not working out? There's a difference. So be sure you're aware of which which, what we call the voice in our head, the voices in our head, which voice are you giving your attention to? And I would suggest choosing the intuitive side, the loving side, the compassionate side, because it's going to allow you more ease and grace and direction, where the other one is just putting you down and telling you how horrible you are.
Which one feels better, right?
Exactly. And boy, did I listen to that nasty voice for so many years. And that's typically the voice that sends us down the depression hole. So listen to the other voice and just tell the negative voice, I don't have time for you right now. I just don't have time for your shit right now. Right? It's just like,
I'm going to send you love and light, man, on this side over here. I'm just going to send you love and light, and I'm going to go over here because this feels good.
Yeah, just imagine. Okay, so imagine that you have two physical people in front of you. One is an egotistical, loud, obnoxious creep, jerk. And the other one's like that loving, kind, compassionate grandma that just holds you and tells you how beautiful you are and wonderful you are and gives you all that encouragement. Who are you going to give your attention to? Which one feels better, right? You want to be in grandma's arms, being loved and nurtured, or do you want to be around this jerk who's just going to be putting you down? He's probably a narcissist. He's going to be playing head games with you, right? There you go. So if you can't understand intuition and ego, think about grandma and the narcissist. Okay, so
that sounds like an amazing sitcom.
Grandma and the narcissist. You're right.
Right.
Maybe the right one.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's funny. That's funny right there. But yes, I totally get
it. This would be the title of our thing tonight. Grandma and the narcissist. I'm writing it down.
Oh my gosh. It was a learning program. Yes, learning but funny. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And then everybody that watches it will have huh?
You gotta have the humor. You just gotta have humor.
Yeah. No, it's gotta have humor. Because that's what makes life a little bit easier on a lot of subjects. A lot easier. And then if anybody's ever dealt with a narcissist, and then sometimes people don't even realize. And it's not because the person has to stay that way forever, but we don't realize how much we, gosh, what's the right word? It's not condone. It's the same thing, or enable. We don't realize how much we enable a person that's a narcissist. If you're in a person's life and that person's a narcissist, we actually enable them. Because a lot of times I would find that it was easier to not have the conversation.
Yeah.
When you were asked questions that if I was to give you the honest to God truth in the nicest way possible, it would still be a battle or a fight and it was never worth it. So it's interesting if we could put that into some sort of a funny that people can see. And it's like and it takes, gosh, I would say it almost takes a lot of responsibility off the narcissist, doesn't it? If they no longer, it's just like the same thing I say all the time. If you don't like the food, if you don't want to eat Oreo cookies because it's got, whatever, something bad sugar in it or fake sugar, then freaking quit buying the damn cookies. Like then they just go away. It's like the same thing with a person. Quit advertising for their energy. If you don't like what they're doing, then quit putting yourself around that space all the time. It's so easy to stay in that space until you start recognizing, until you start giving yourself space away from situations and people and everything like that. You don't realize, then you realize once you have that distance in between space A and space B over here, when there's a big distance, you start recognizing things, and it's like, oh man, it feels so much better over here. I was really putting myself through a number. Honestly, I can't say that the person was doing it to me, because I was doing it. Like, oh my gosh, I have to call. He's already called 3 times today, 4 times, and I would be working or whatever. It's like, oh, I feel obligated. I have to call. So it's like this whole thing that we go through, but it's not even necessary. None of it's necessary. But man, that could be some funny stuff because we're not the only ones.
Right.
I am not the only one that's had this experience in my lifetime.
Right.
And it doesn't stop here. I mean, it's going to stop here as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I'm not going to try to control people or their lives. It's like, man, we can make it as easy or as hard as we want. And I got to focus on me. I can't, if I'm trying to control your life and run your life, I don't have time for myself. I have to have time for myself. That's where I'm at these days. I have time for myself, period.
Yeah, I want to go to when you were talking about creating distance. What came to me was, if you think about the round target, so you got the red center, so you're in the center and you're in it, so you're in that relationship with this person, and you start creating the distance. Well, now you go into the white circle, so you're getting a little more information because you're opening yourself up, right? And each ring of that target that you allow yourself to move to, you're giving yourself more awareness. You're giving yourself the ability to see, get more information, view what's more of what's going on. Because it's just like anything. You put the blind, when you get in a relationship, you put the blinders on because you want to see the best in the person, and encourage that, the encouragement of that they are a good person and all this other stuff. But the people that are out on the bigger rings are looking in and like, he's really treating you like crap. And it could be he or she, he really is demanding. He puts you down a lot, right? So the people on the outside are seeing this, but when you're in that center, in the center, and you're in the relationship, and it could be work, it could be a friendship, it could be a relationship, it could be intimate. So there have been times I've been in some kind of a relationship with somebody, and later, of course, I have to move through the experience because there's something to be learned. My intuition telling me it's not a healthy relationship, but of course I got the blinders on. I'm like, oh no, they can do better, and they're a good person. They really have a heart of gold, but they really treat people like, it's like you're having these, again, two conversations in your head, and then create the distance between me and that person. So now I'm seeing more, I'm getting more awareness around it. And then as I move outside into these bigger rings of the target, the people out there telling me, yeah, I knew you shouldn't have done what you did. I had a lot of information about this person, and this person wasn't going to be healthy for you, right? They're standing out there. But when I'm in the center and I'm defending that person, the people on the outside, they may or may not speak their mind. And, really, they could be out there and just praying that things work out for you, right? So yeah, when you create the space, create the distance between you and this person who is unhealthy for you, you start to get a bigger picture.
It's true.
And that, keep in mind, like, that's what our angels and guides do. They have a really big picture. Like, they get the whole universe they can see, and they have the bigger picture that our mind could not even fathom. Like, we couldn't even take in all that information. But at the same time, if we allow ourselves to have ease and grace, so we were even in a relationship like that, and allowing ourselves to learn and grow from it, like, now we have the information. We know what people are like that have those types of traits. So if I come into contact with somebody who has those types of traits, I already know it's not going to be a healthy relationship. I'm not even, I will be nice to them while I'm in their presence. But in the meantime, I know I'm going to be better if I move in this direction, and I get to choose if I spend time with this person or not. And 99.9% of the time, I'm going to choose to do something different because I know it's not going to be a healthy relationship. It's not. So I'm going to spend my time in a way that's going to be beneficial to whatever to my goals or my desires.
Yeah.
I would much rather do that than be in a space with somebody who's always right, puts you down, right? Is just, it's like, I like myself enough that I don't need this from you. So
Yeah.
thanks for the
Which is
invite, but
funny.
no thanks.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that I like myself enough, because I would say at the time I didn't like myself enough.
Right.
So it's like, it doesn't, these people or circumstances or situations are not bad situations. They present an opportunity. So it presented an opportunity for me to ask for more. Even if I wasn't asking for it verbally, my being knew that I was asking for something different than what I was in at that time. So it's a huge thing. And it's like I like the description that you were giving us with the bullseye and stuff. And as you kind of grow, you're growing, you kind of become out here more. And then it's like, then you start seeing the person as the person is, you know what I mean? It's not that they're good or bad. It's just, this is where they are on their journey. That is it. It's nothing more. It's nothing less. Now you can look at it from a neutral space, because that's where I'm at. I can see it from a neutral place, and I'm not holding all the energy to it. I've even noticed, like, even words have been said about me, like I was the problem, all this other stuff. And it's like, well, if you had probably said that to me about 6 months ago, I might have karate chopped you in the throat. No, not really, but
Exactly.
but now I'm like, at first I was like, oh, well, I'll just send a letter. No, I'm not going to send anything, because it's just that this is the whole process of reaction. Put out something, create a reaction, and then I've got this person back in my life, and it's like that. I can see that now, but it's like, this little girl doesn't want to play that way no more. This little girl wants to play in life that's fun and enjoyable. And so again, it's all these situations that happen in our lives are just helping us to ask more questions, and we just get better with the questions. You were talking about the stuff like that. So now when I listen to some podcast or anything else, they say something, and then I'm like, I wonder how I could do that. I wonder how that could be in my experience. I wonder, because it's like, if we don't have, it's like watching a movie. If we don't watch these things or have an experience or hear a conversation or have a conversation or listen to a podcast, then we don't grow. And the whole purpose of us, I feel like now in my life, it's for us to grow. We're growing all the time in every aspect. It's not just from a book or a movie or from it's everything all around you. It's our nature. Nature can show you a million things and present more questions to you. And how can you better serve? And I say better serve, that doesn't always sit well with me for some reason, because that almost seems like it's a job or an expectation. So for me, it's like, how can I better show up? Because that was one of the things that you would always say, how can I show up? That's better for myself. What's for the greatest good of all, right? And it's like, I'm noticing I've planted more plants out there now. When I'm out there planting the plants, I've got a bee flying around my face, like I'm so happy right now. You're putting some flowers out here, because I'm out in the middle of the freaking desert. Their cactus aren't blooming. There's really not a lot of flowers and stuff. There's not a lot of water, so I make sure that there's a consistent amount of water out every day, and then the flowers. So that's just one of the ways that I'm creating something better. And it's like you said, it's just simply as going to the store and smiling. And it's like, there's been some times that I've been in a bad space, and it's like someone smiled at me, and that changed everything. That changed everything from my perspective. So it's like I've been on both sides, and I'm gonna be on both sides again. It's not like, you don't just like, oh yeah, I achieved this, I got the award, it's up on my shelf over here. No, it doesn't work that way, because it's gonna show up again. And it just helps us to ask more questions. That's all.
You had talked about the person or people saying it was your fault. Here's what we can do with that for sure. We all have responsibility in any relationship. And it takes two. Like, if I'm in a relationship with myself, then it's just me. But when there's two people, now you have communication, you have emotions and all this stuff. And each party has their own perception about life, their own history, right? That they're all, each person's bringing to the table. And so if somebody comes over to you, say, well, it was all your fault. Thank you for that comment. I will do some inquiry as to my part of the relationship. And then you take yourself, I do this all the time. I think it's really cool, especially when there's something cool in my life happening. So works myself backwards in my life. Well, I made this choice and then it led to this choice and then it led to this, and these are the things that I did. So yeah, where I'm at right now, it is my fault. Being in that relationship, yeah, it is part of my fault because I said yes. Yes, I'll be in that relationship. Yes, I'm going to turn right instead of left. Yes, I'm going to spend this money instead of keeping it in my account. Yes, I made those choices. So things like that, any choice I made is my fault. It's my responsibility because I chose to make a decision which has brought me to where I'm at. But I can also choose to make decisions that are going to move me in a direction that's beneficial and healthy for me. So you might find yourself in an unhealthy relationship. Well, yeah, you chose to be in that relationship in a sense. I understand that some dynamics of relationships are different, and I get that. For the most part, for most relationships, we choose to be in those relationships. We can also choose to move in a different direction and create the space between you and an unhealthy relationship and start, because it's a choice to love yourself more. And if you haven't listened to it, we have a recording on I love you, but I love myself more. And so you might want to listen to that. So yeah, we do have responsibility when it comes to having more than one person in a circle. If it's not just you, if there's somebody else there, then you have partaken in the choices to be there with that person.
That's right.
And if it's an unhealthy relationship, good or bad, let me take that back. Good or bad, we always have something to learn.
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
So
Every
if
time.
it's an unhealthy relationship, you have a lot to learn. Take really good notes so that you have the information so you don't get yourself in that same predicament. If it's an amazing relationship, then there is a lot to learn in the joy aspects and enthusiasm and fun and compassion and loving and caring, right? There's so much to learn in that direction. Of course, you get to choose which direction you want to go, which one feels better. And just, we always have something to learn from others, always.
Yeah. And it's still asking the questions, even, I've got it written on my board. What is this teaching me? And it's even when you're when you're having that great, wonderful, perfect relationship, how can I have this in all my relationships? How can every interaction be like this? Because it'll find a way. The people will show up that will match your vibration, that you just have all these, we can have deeper conversations, like we have the deep conversations, we can have with everybody we meet. I mean, if that's what I want to put out there, if that's what I want my focus to be, instead of like, oh God, he's just talking about the weather again.
Yeah, here we are talking about the weather.
I haven't watched sports now for a couple of years. I kind of gave no, and it's like we're gonna just talk about the sports. Yeah, no. But I mean, we have a choice. It's like and it's like that's where the questions start asking questions. Like, how can I mean, I do. How can it? Well, we've talked about it before. How can it get better than this? Even when it's going freaking great, how can it get better than this? How can I have this how can I have this in all my relationships? How can I, like you said, you've told me that I've written down, and I ask myself on a daily basis when I'm encountering something, what is this teaching me right now?
Is your ugly crying. Oh, I know this happened for a reason. What am I learning? Blah, right?
Yeah. But you get the answers.
Yeah.
The answers come as soon as you let them come in. They're all there. I mean, it's just as soon as you drop your guards and you just be, all the answers are there. Everything's there, right? It's right here always for us, always.
Yeah. And when you're in that space of you want to be in the low vibrational emotions or victim mentality, immediately a wall goes up because you want to defend how you're feeling in that moment. And when that little intuitive side, grandma says, "Oh, honey, you're okay. Let's look at this and see what you're learning. Let's look at this and see how it could be better."
I like that.
Right? Now the walls start to drop and you open yourself. Now you're out on those outer rings of the target to get more awareness, more information, ask more questions, open yourself up to learning, and a solution comes. It comes so easily.
Yeah. It's not defensive.
It's not defensive.
No.
The
Because grandma's
answer
not like
just
that.
swoops right in, and you know, you're gonna be amazed how easy it can be. I know I am. I'm just like, wow, you guys, when I say you guys are good, like I'm talking to my universal team, like you guys are good. You guys
Yeah.
are amazing.
They are, like they are. And Universal Team, when you first had told me about that, it took me a little bit of time to get familiar with it. But man, once I did, it's like, man, it's so amazing. That is like, that encompasses everything. I might even call my Universal Team of Divine Love and Light.
Yeah.
Whatever I call them, because they come in, and when I call them in when I'm going to do a reading, come in, bring your energy in through me, raise my vibration and my cards up to you and let me understand exactly what you're trying to, what messages you're giving, even through my pendulum board or my pendulum. It's the same thing. It's like I bring their energy so that whatever I'm touching or whatever is in my environment is raised up to the vibration of
Yeah.
my Universal Team.
So good.
It is. It is. Well, and I find that I'm lighter, really.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
mean, I have to put weights in my shoes these days. No, not really.
Yeah. It's not float.
I'm just
Yeah.
like floating along.
Well, when we're in that stubborn place of not asking and not accepting help, I'll do it myself, you know, and then the resentment. I always have to take care of everything. Well, because we're choosing to, right? That's on us. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah,
And it took me a while to figure it out, but that is so draining, so tiring. Like are you tired all the time? If you're stubborn, yeah, you need to take some inquiry and do some journaling because you're just, that's a whole nother topic we've already talked about. You're just allowing
I
yourself
know.
to be controlling, and then the woe is me, the beating yourself of the suffering that I have to take care of everything. And so um, when you can move through that and start depending on something greater than yourself, asking for the help and guidance. And when we talk about universal team, for me, that encompasses everything in spirit. So, in the loving sense. So, the God of your understanding, you might call it divine, the source, universe, angels, archangels, spirit guides, master guides, ascended masters, deceased loved ones, ancestors, like it's just all of it. And when I allow myself to call on my universal team, it could be in my head, it could be out loud, through my heart space. It's so easy. It's so easy. The information comes so easily, and it makes life so much more enjoyable.
I agree.
So
Yep,
there you have it.
there we have it.
Words of wisdom from Amie and Bev
That's right.
on tea time.
That's correct.
That's that. So, my friends, thank you so much for being with us. And we just hope that we come each week with words that are going to help you on your life journey and share the information, whether it's through a conversation, sharing the links of the audio or video podcasts. You know someone that needs to hear this. So please share it. And if you have any questions or comments, please be sure to post them below.
Thank you.
There you have it.
I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. You guys have a wonderful week.
See you next time.